Hello, kiddies. It's the Conquistador Dave Height.
Along with the maestro, Kevin Crane.
Here we are recording November 3rd, 2021. This will hit on November 6th, 2021, Saturday morning. We are going to start off with some music reviews for you. We got a couple albums and a couple singles to knock out.
That's right. Lots of music for you this week.
So, shall we begin with the singles?
Absolutely.
Let's start off with River is Rising from Slash, along with Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators.
First single off their upcoming album coming out in 2022, simply titled 4. Duh, because it's their fourth album. But this is just solid to me. Rock, meat and potatoes.
This is Slash doing his guitar thing very, it's Slash on guitar.
Yep.
Rocking out. Miles Kennedy's vocals are phenomenal on it. Loved this from start to finish.
Yep. Great first single. I agree.
I have high hopes for this album based on this single.
Yep. I give this 3 frenzies.
Yep.
I cannot.
Actually, I go 3.5 on this one. I really like this one.
Okay.
I love it. Maybe it's the mood I was in, but this one really hit home, rocked out, and I just loved it.
This could be a situation where I'm more critical because I love Miles Kennedy and Slash so much that this is really good, but for them, I expect perfection. And since I didn't get perfection, I'm only going to give it 3.
There you go.
But I am extremely happy.
But I have not had as much.
Right.
Haven't listened to as much of their combined as you have.
You don't understand the fact that when you like something as much as this, it makes me happy. I'm glad 3.5 from you makes me happy.
This I absolutely love.
Yes,
it's
a great
phenomenal
song. The river is rising, the end is nigh. Yep.
Good stuff.
Great stuff.
Definitely check it out.
Okay, what'd you think of Jack White off of Gears of War?
Taking Me Back. This I thought was a little too heavy on the synthesizer and got a little too psychedelic with some of the stuff midway through. I thought if he'd have knocked off the synthesizer and gone more with the traditional bass, it would have been better. Not bad. But
the problem I have with
great.
The problem I have with this is that I don't want to get into a big diatribe, but Jack White is an example of what I've talked about in the past with guys like Sting.
Overproducing?
Well, it's when people leave a band, they don't realize that sometimes that band dynamic actually keeps them in check.
Yeah.
Makes them work harder, makes them more creative. Jack White was great, even just with Meg White, as little as she did on the drums.
Yeah, but it was
a dynamic that worked. He's been less than the White Stripes ever since he went solo. I have not been impressed with his solo material.
No.
It's like
I
Sting.
agree.
Same thing. Sting, Mr. Big Ego, thinks he's so great, the be-all, end-all. He has never put out anything in 30, 40 years that equals what he did with the Police.
The one part does not even come close to matching that of the whole.
Sports Frenzy is not the same if one of the two of us is gone.
Correct.
Dave and Kev.
It's
Kev
the
and
dynamic
Dave.
That keeps the inner.
This is what gives you the podcast gold that you get every week.
Exactly. This one I'm only giving 2.
Okay. I did like it more than you because of the fact I think this one I'm looking at through the eyes of this is better than a lot of the solo stuff he's done recently.
Yeah.
I liked it, had a little harder edge. And this might be because I listened to his solo stuff where I know this is kind of new to you. You really don't listen to a lot of Jack White.
Not a lot of his stuff, but,
right.
I liked the song itself, but what really turned me off was the heavy synthesizer and the funky psychedelic crap that he tried to get creative with.
Right. And I get that. I do. Again, I've got a lot of the White Stripes albums. I've got a lot of his solo stuff. So the sound of Taking Me Back didn't shock me maybe as much as you. So I'm going to give this 3. I actually enjoyed it. I liked it. But I can understand where you're coming from, not liking it.
There, like I said, if the synthesizer wouldn't have been there,
right,
and he would have used a bass to get that beat going,
right,
I would have enjoyed it so much more. And if he would have knocked out that stupid little goofy psychedelic interlude that he had in there for it,
right,
it would have been much more. I would have given it a 3.
And that's why I agree with your review. Your negative review is, again, because he needs to go back to the style and the discipline that he had with the
early
White
on.
Stripes.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Seven Nation Army. That comes from the fact that he had at least one person there giving some input into
telling him, don't be a pretentious douche.
Right. And ever since he's gone solo, I have not liked him nearly as much as I liked the White Stripes over their last 4 albums at their peak.
There you go. Well said.
All right. So now we get to the return, so to speak, of Whitesnake.
Yes.
And before we get into the album, let's talk about the fact that David Coverdale just came out here coinciding with the release of Restless Heart, the remix, and has said that 2022 will be the end for Whitesnake in terms of touring.
Interesting.
So we're going to have to be on the lookout.
We may have to take a peek for them for a 2022 tour.
Depending on the venue, depending on... Now, right now, all they've got set up is European dates, but I guarantee there's going to be some American dates.
Yeah, this would be third time?
Yeah. Yep. First time great on the Purple album tour, and then they were opening for, was it Def Leppard?
I don't know if it was
I know
Def
Coverdale
Leppard.
was wearing an all white outfit.
Yeah, and he was not
and
in
we took the protege there, and that kind of ruined her opinion of Whitesnake. She was on the fence, and she saw them.
It wouldn't have been a Def Leppard opening because both the boys would have gone.
Right.
So I can't remember who it was.
But yeah, Coverdale, it was not their best showing.
He was mad throughout the show about something, and he didn't sound good either.
Right. Right.
So there was a lot going on. It was not a stellar outing.
Right. So yeah, I would like to see them one more time, given the venue, if it's correct, if it's right.
Yeah.
That being said, we are going to review the just released remix of Restless Heart, which was supposed to be initially a David Coverdale solo album, and then it got released overseas as David Coverdale and Whitesnake. Adrian Vandenberg, a great guitar god from the 80s, was in Whitesnake at that point.
Right.
So what you're hearing on this Restless Heart remix, technically they're calling it the 25th anniversary.
Yeah. An unreleased.
But really, this is the first time over here in America we've really heard this.
Yeah.
In this format, this clear digital remix format. And I'm telling you what, I liked it. I did. I liked it a lot. But maybe that's more because we're starved for new music.
That could be. I went in a little more critical with this one. I liked about half of it. A lot. And there was about half of it. I'm like, really? Why? But
there were some. It's very bluesy. It's obviously very... Whitesnake is always blues heavy,
right? And that's stuff that I really liked. But there were some things like, I don't know, Too Many Tears just didn't do anything for me. It was and after All in the Name of Love, it just kind of went downhill for me. There wasn't much that I found.
I thought
Crying was another one that that was my least favorite on the album.
I thought it started out well.
Yes. Yeah, definitely those first three, Restless Heart, You're So Fine,
Yes.
and Can't Go On,
Right.
were brilliant, solid. And then you hit Crying. I'm like, why did you put this here? That should have been Tail End Charlie. So
yeah, it was up and down. I'll tell you which my favorite song was, and it was just a hard, heavy, bluesy song towards the end. Was Woman Trouble Blues.
That I liked. I don't have a note next to it, but yeah, that one I enjoyed in the middle of that final run.
Right. Now there's an instrumental in there that I wasn't a big fan of.
Oi, wee, whatever you want to call it.
OI, whatever.
Yeah, that was just.
Yeah. But I agreed to the point with you where it was kind of a roller coaster ride where it was up and down, up and down. I did like the last. There's a remix at the end that I don't think counts as the end track. So the final song on the album,
Don't Fade Away.
Don't Fade Away, was probably my favorite. I thought that was it's a little bit subtle, a little bit quiet.
Yeah.
Not what you would expect from Whitesnake.
It was okay. I didn't mind that one.
I liked that one a lot. I thought Don't Fade Away was really good. So yes, it starts out, first three tracks, fantastic. I agree with you. I think there's some songs in there I like more than you, though.
Probably. So, Take Me Back Again. I listened to it a second time. I liked it better. But Anything You Want, I enjoyed. But I would have to say probably Can't Go On might be about my favorite one on there.
Okay.
Just the heavy blues on that one, I really liked it. It hit.
So this is one of those ones where I think you and I are similar overall, but maybe different in terms of the songs we liked.
Yes, we could be
because
there.
Woman Trouble Blues I thought was phenomenal, and again, maybe it was the mood I was in.
That could be.
I just wanted some heavy rock and roll. It's not none of this is groundbreaking, and that's why I'm not going crazy with my overall rating, but just wanted some good rock and roll.
Yeah, it's a 2.5 for me.
See, I'll go 3. I'm going to go 3 because, like I said, I like the end a little bit more probably than you.
Probably, yeah. So there we go.
Yeah. And again, it's probably because I'm starved for some really good rock and roll. So it felt like a new Whitesnake album to me, even though it wasn't.
Yeah. And there were parts where I'm like, oh yeah, this is good. This is good. Why? And I had more whys than I wanted to.
Yeah, and I agree with you. There's parts, there's points. Again, generic lyrics at points.
Yeah.
Whitesnake is never going to
have
give
the
you
stellar. They're not Rush in terms of lyrics.
Yeah, it's never going to be poetic. It's never going to be, they're going to solve the universe's problems with their lyrics. It's always going to be, she broke my heart, she done me wrong,
or let me bang you anyway from Sunday.
Yeah. I guess the greatest compliment I can give this is that at points during listening to this, I was thinking of Tawny Katane writhing on a car hood. And that's all I need from my Whitesnake.
Go.
Yeah. David Coverdale needs to get credit, though. He'll never be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
No, but
he should be in that second tier, the level like Cinderella, like Poison, where the lyrics are all going to be recycled. They're always going to be kind of a version generic, of the same story.
But they're fun. They're good. They keep you listening. You're entertained and you enjoy them.
Yep. All right. Now we move on to one of my personal favorites. God bless the Conquistador for putting up with me on this, because
See, I like Local H.
I've been pushing Local H on him for the last year and a half, basically ever since COVID hit, and they put out their last studio album, Lifers. I have all of a sudden gotten way back into them. I had forgotten completely about them, going all the way back until the 90s with their big hit, Bound for the Floor.
Right.
The album As Good as Dead. And then all of a sudden Lifers came out. It popped up on Spotify. I'm not trying to push Spotify, even though they host us and they let us do what we want, and thank God for them, and I love them completely. Local H now is one of the things.
See, now I'm going to have to go back. This is Quarantine Covers 3.
Right.
We're
I want to listen. I have not listened to 1 and 2.
I need to go back into 1 and 2.
I've looked at Quarantine Covers 1 and 2, more obscure songs.
Interesting.
Quarantine, we're going to review Awesome Quarantine Mixtape 3, which just came out here the last couple weeks from Local H. Lifers was the last studio album, came out, I think, April of 2021 or 2020.
2020.
And then since then, they've been putting out these awesome mixtape covers, almost like
they're
Star-Lord
from
the Star-Lord Guardians of the Galaxy thing almost.
Yeah, they're trying to do the knockoff of that.
Right.
And do the covers. So
And I got sucked in on this one because, again, of Spotify starting to bounce some of these cover songs off of me on my weekly release radar. And then I saw a full album of them, and I said, Dave, you got to listen to this, because there is some really fucking awesome gold in here.
There's some good stuff in this one, and there's stuff that's...
Yes.
Yeah,
this is a roller coaster ride, because...
Big time.
And I want to discuss all of these covers, who did them, for better or worse, because this is... half of it is unbelievably great to me. Unbelievably fantastic, high, almost better than the original cover songs. And the other ones are like, why did you even bother?
What were you thinking?
Why did you even bother?
I think we might be simpatico on this one.
Yep. So you start us off. Let's go from top to bottom.
All right. When Doves Cry, the acoustic is awful.
I agree.
I hated it. It was so damn slow. It was bad.
Yeah. I was not a fan of the acoustic. Now we'll get to a different version of this.
Yes.
And then we'll have some fun.
Yeah. So Strangers,
which is a Kink song. That is actually a Kink song.
This one was good. I enjoyed this.
I didn't like this one.
You didn't.
I was immediately, first 2 songs, I was like, okay.
This
if I hadn't known what was coming later, I probably would have bailed at this point.
So overall, this one I thought was one of the better ones on it, having listened to it a couple of times.
Yeah.
I like this one more so than some of the others.
Yeah, Strangers is an old Kink song. I did not know that. Had to look that up.
Yeah.
Then it gets fun.
You know what? Why I liked it? It was very garagey.
Well, that's the thing. They try to do different things for better or worse.
Yeah, this was almost like not done in stereo. It was done in mono as a garage cover demo.
Right.
Which I kind of liked it that way, just for the difference that they did on that. That's why I like that one.
Right. Well, I'm glad you like that. I just didn't. The next one is the one that really I am jazzed about.
Brandy.
The remake of Brandy, You're a Fine Girl.
Yes.
They add a punch to it. They add an edge to it.
They add a lot of bass to it, and it hits really well.
Loved it. Love this one.
Yes.
Love this version of Brandy.
Definitely.
And this, I think, is one of the ones that spoiled the rest of the album for me, is that I was thinking, if they can do this with Brandy, Why couldn't they have done this with some of the other ones?
Because the next one, Here Comes the Rain Again,
They did a
botched
terrible
the
job.
hell out of this.
They did
one.
a terrible job with it. They should have punched this up instead of almost going down and dreary.
This was Here Comes the Rain.
Yeah, this is a lazy
again.
remake. It's a lazy remake.
Slow. It's monotone.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yep. I agree. But yeah, so far, Brandy, at this point, I agree. The only one that's worth it is Brandy. And again, I'm not a big fan of cover albums to begin with. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, Brandy's awesome. Everything else is eh. Then everything starts getting better.
It picks up. Big Log is next.
I loved their version of Big Log.
I loved it up until the whale songs came in at the end. That killed it for me.
I thought it was
They
fantastic.
got goofy with the whale songs at the tail end of it.
I thought, again, it added a little bit, just a little bit extra kick to Robert Plant's.
It did. And they had that, but then the which unfortunately kind of carried, actually, Here Comes the Rain started with the whale songs and they carried into Big Log. So outside of the whale song crap,
yeah,
I enjoyed it.
I just think it was a perfect tweak on Big Log. It was just a little bit more heavy, a little bit more rock than Robert Plant's version. So I really dig it. I like it.
I did too, after the whale song shit ended. I'm not letting that go.
So then we move on to...
Then we get Hackensack.
Which I love.
That was well done.
That's an old Fountains of Wayne song.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed that.
A kind of a ballady type thing. I like that a lot.
Yeah, they did a good job with that one.
I like it. Very forlorn, very, if you come back to Hackensack.
It was well done.
Yep.
Then you get Ugly Sunday.
Ugly Sunday was awesome.
I did not like it.
Oh my God! See, now we're completely opposite.
Now we're out.
Ugly Sunday was one of my favorite songs on the album.
I was ugly. It was never one of my favorites to begin with.
Now that's a Mark Lanigan song.
This is one I will say should not have been.
Oh, I loved Ugly Sunday. Are you kidding me?
Hated it.
Oh.
I hated it to begin with. I hated Lanigan. I hated Screaming Trees.
Oh, I love this.
I despise this from the get-go.
Well, you weren't a grunge guy.
That's right.
I was like a grunge guy. So Ugly Sunday, I thought was phenomenal.
I thought it was ugly. So there you go.
Okay. Ugly Sunday's ugly.
And then you get into Dreamings.
No. Didn't like it.
Didn't care for that one either.
Blondie's Dreaming. You can't do a downbeat version.
Stop.
You can't do a downbeat version of Dreaming.
It did not work.
No.
That never should have been done. No. Then When Doves Cry, the electric version.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. That ended it beautifully.
Phenomenal.
Redemption from the stupid ass acoustic.
Phenomenal. I will actually put forth borderline music heresy here.
That it was better than the original?
Even the original is a classic. We all love it. All-time great.
This might be better. Edge that it needed.
This might be better. This might be better. This is the song that actually brought me into listening to all of this and getting the Quarantine Mix number 3 is because their version of When Doves Cry, like you said, the edge, the angst they bring to it is better.
It leads.
It's a different song. It's a completely different song.
It's not that poppy.
Yeah. Both versions are phenomenal. And that's what's great. I hate remakes, but every once in a while somebody can do something.
Somebody does something that brings a different edge to it.
And this is one of those examples. A
different perspective, and this worked on the electric side.
Kids, you got to listen to this. The electric version from Local H of When Doves Cry, that's
You will not
The
be
best song on
disappointed.
this album, one of the best remakes you'll ever hear. I
There
think
you go.
we both agree on that.
Yes.
I will give overall, because of there are highs and there are lows, I will go 2.5.
See, the lows for me were too low, so I went with 2.
Okay, so I understand that. Again, the Ugly Sunday sounds like that's the one that you and I are really.
That's
the key.
the big difference.
Yep. All right, some music news before we wrap up segment 1. Kiss is having a really hard time right now.
Oof, yeah, they are.
We'll,
Ending the Vegas residency.
yeah, that's the part I want to talk about right now. I'm going to save the other part for the moments of silence because unfortunately there is a death involved in some of the other negative Kiss news. But yeah, the Vegas residency news really shocks me. They canceled their Vegas residency because of bad ticket sales. Nobody wants to go see Kiss
Come on!
at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas?
It's freaking Kiss. What the hell?
That I do not get.
Unless they're so damn pricey.
But again, we talked about it on the show. When we saw Judas Priest, we were blown away by how few people were there.
Oh my God, that was the lowest attended concert I think we've been to.
In a major arena.
Yeah.
In a major arena.
There were more people locally to have seen the triple bill that we had with Shinedown and Aaron Jones and the Struts.
Right.
I think there were as many people at that one, if not more, than were at the Priest.
To see the Priest, yeah. I mean, that blew me away. But now we've got Kiss canceling their Vegas residency. I thought it was going to be because of COVID, but they say it's because of bad ticket sales.
Yeah. Nobody's traveling. Maybe the tickets were too pricey.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's boggles
Speaking
the
of
mind.
COVID news, both John Bon Jovi and Bryan Adams had to cancel shows because of COVID. So it is still out there. And I think you bring up a good point. That's a lingering threat. And again, that leads into people not wanting to travel.
Yeah.
Dave and I talked about this. It just came out today. We're discussing, we're thinking.
Potential.
Mammoth, WVH going back on the road again, starting in January with Dirty Honey.
Ooh, that could be good.
A co-headlining tour starting in Chicago in mid-January.
We'll have to keep an eye out for dates.
Yep.
As they come up.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that Chicago one, the very first one on the tour, though, might be the one
it would be hard to pass, but that's a questionable weather date as well.
Yeah.
In the Midwest.
Yep. Every time I think of January in Chicago, I remember a few years ago when they got hit with a terrible, of course we did too, a terrible storm, and cars were stranded on Lakeshore Drive, and people were abandoning their cars.
And it's January. It could be below zero and the wind coming off the lake.
Yep.
It can be brutal.
Yep. Last couple tidbits here. Bruce Springsteen has put his album and publishing rights. Listen, though. He's put his album and publishing rights out for sale, so you can afford this. He only wants $415 million.
Yeah, kiss my ass, Bruce, you pretentious douchebag alcoholic
bitch.
Yeah,
he's supposed to be the common man's rock hero, right?
Bullshit.
Oh, but I'm going to sell all my music for $415 million. You've been conned again, people.
Big time.
And of course, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony was this past weekend. Kind of cool to see Paul McCartney inducting the Foo Fighters.
That was
which
really
is the only
neat.
one I cared about.
Yeah.
And of course, Dave and I, a couple years ago, free tickets, went to see Todd Rundgren.
Oh, God.
I hear people talking about this over the weekend, still making fun of the fact, how the hell Todd Rundgren get in? Who the hell cares about Todd Rundgren?
Exactly.
And he gets in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And
exactly.
we left halfway through the show.
There you go. He's bad. It was not good.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is out of touch. We've talked about this before. We'll talk about it again. Stay tuned.
Movies and TV and streaming.
Now that we've let you into Frenzy Club, here are 3 rules. 1. You don't talk about Sports Frenzy 2.0. You listen to it on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple, and all other major podcast hosts. 2. 2 guys to a show. Kev and Dave, the Maestro and the Conquistador. 3. 1 Sports Frenzy episode at a time. Until Saturday, when you get the weekend edition. Now get in there and let loose on some PC wussbags, will ya?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0. I am the Maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
We're taping here on the 3rd of November, 2021. This will hit the morning of the 6th, as always, to get you through your weekend with the best in music, movies, TV, and streaming. I finally caught up with the rest of the world.
It took you long enough.
The gears grind slowly, but they finally do accomplish what they're supposed to do. I finally got back on Netflix and finally watched Squid Game, the phenomenon that everyone is talking about. I binged it over the weekend. I watched all 9 episodes. Number 1, I don't know what, I did not see what LeBron James' problem was. All I know is he was bitching and pissing and moaning about the ending. I didn't have a problem with the ending. They left it open for another season.
Yep.
Another run of episodes. The whole point of the show is that, now my daughter says she heard it's anti-capitalism. I can see that.
Yeah.
I think it's more about addiction. I think it's more about thrill addiction. And that's why it ended the way it ended.
I can completely see that. And that leads in with that final episode with the one character, the elitist, and his decision. If you have not seen it, I don't necessarily want to ruin this.
No, we're not going to ruin this for you. We're going to talk.
But when you get to the final episode, you can see that addiction tendency there.
There are multiple chances. I think this is the best way to say it. There were multiple chances in 9 episodes for any of the characters to back out, go back to their lives. And so at some points they did.
Yep.
Whether you're in the game or you're out of the game. But everybody kind of kept gravitating back in, despite the risks, despite the potential for death, dismemberment, destruction. And again,
and you got to think,
you can say on the surface it's all about the money. There's a big cash prize.
There is, but it's the thrill of the chase, because if you look at everybody who's participating in the game, they're all in debt because of whatever addiction they had led them to be so far in debt that there was no escape except for the possibility of winning this.
Right. And like I said, the protege looks at it as all these people were so far in debt because capitalism doesn't work.
No, it's not capitalism doesn't work.
I know.
I don't buy that.
I'm just trying to look at all the different reviews and all the different viewpoints that I've heard about this.
I think she's off the mark on that one.
I think she's off the mark, but I can see
where she could find that thread.
Squid Game is so well done that there are multiple ways to view it. You can view it as a simple thriller, horror type series. You can view it deeper.
As a commentary on
Society.
the world.
I'm looking at it as a commentary on the fact that people will sometimes keep doing self-destructive things just because it makes them feel alive and makes them feel good, even when they should walk away, regardless of if there's money, power, sex involved.
It's wanting, they want to feel important. They want to win.
Are you strong enough to walk away? Are you safe enough in your skin to value your life without money, power, prestige?
Or are you going to subject yourself to violence, ridicule, and self-abasement?
Right. Great way to put it, Dave. This was, and again, I'm not a big fan of subtitled, dubbed foreign stuff. And again, it's just because I prefer to listen to my movie. I don't want to read it. I don't want to, this worked so well, even though it's a Korean production, didn't have any problems. I watched the dub version, worked perfectly for me. 3.5 frenzies. This is near perfect. This is one of the best TV shows, if we call them that anymore. I don't know, but 9 episodes. It's so well done. It's so phenomenally put together, so well thought out. We talked on our regular Sports Frenzy show, joking about the fact that some kids are being kicked out of school because they're dressing up as the guards.
Right, for Halloween. I'm sorry, but what's wrong with having one of the PlayStation symbols on your mask?
Yeah, basically that's what it is. Yeah. 3 of the 4 PlayStation symbols represent, with the guards, different levels of authority.
Yeah.
It's just it's society gone too far, and that's kind of what Squid Game is. Society gone too far,
where the elitists have their fun,
right,
at the expense of others.
One final thought on this. Squid Game overall is not original. It's basically pieces pulled in from other shows, other movies, kind of put together, mixed together, mashed together, but it creates something completely original.
It brings a unique perspective overall.
Yeah. So I was skeptical. I got sucked in. You should too. Watch it if you have Netflix. It's worth your time. 9 episodes. It'll take you a couple afternoons.
Worth your time.
Great, intense
Enjoy it.
show. Yep. Now Dave's got something that he's getting back into again.
Yes, on the History Channel. God, I can't believe it's already season 9 of The Curse of Oak Island is just kicking off this week. The Lagina brothers from northern Michigan are back in Nova Scotia on that tiny little island, looking for what treasure may have been buried there by God knows who, or by how many people. The rumblings of the money pit have hearkened back for generations. They got hooked by reading a story in Reader's Digest back in the late 60s. And Douglas Preston and Lincoln Childs used that tale as the premise for their story, Riptide,
which is a book I read.
It came out late 90s.
Yeah, it's about 20 years ago. I actually, while we're getting ready to do this, look through my closet of books. I know I have got the galley version somewhere, which is
it's
a preview version the publishers send out.
Yeah. Preston and Childs are known for the Pendergast novels that started with Relic, which was made into a movie, but Riptide is one of their one-offs, which was absolutely phenomenal, based on the legend of the Oak Island treasure that's buried. And this season, the previews look like they could really be close to finding what's buried there. But it's not just about the treasure, it's about the history and who all was there and what was done on this tiny little island. There, over the years, they found traces of the Templars being there, the French, possibly now the Portuguese, the Spanish, the British. They're finding all these different buttons and whatnot, treasure trinkets
Yep.
that this little tiny island in Nova Scotia, and things date back into the hundreds, pre 1100. It runs the gambit through history, the stuff they're finding there, which says, yeah, Columbus wasn't the first to come over this way. So it's very interesting. I cannot wait to see how this season wraps up.
Yep. And I just when you told me when we were getting ready here and doing our prep for this episode, when you brought up Riptide, I remember reading that book, loving that book. The treasure hunting, the going through,
digging down, and then all the booby traps with the water that floods the tunnels. And
and overall, and I do have some book news coming up here soon too. Overall, though, I know you've read more Preston and Child than I have, but I've read a fair share of it, of their catalog. And Riptide is one of my favorites. Now, I would probably go with the Ice Limit as my all-time favorite.
Oh, that's really damn good.
Ice Limit is, but they are so smart. And when you brought this book up in relation to the TV show, if this TV show gives you the same kind of sense of wonder and awe that I got out of Riptide, it's got to be damn well worth it.
It really is. And you're not finding full-on answers. They're diving into, they're trying to find the treasure, but they're also more about the history. Who was here? Why were they here? And what's here? So it's about the journey and discovery of the history as much as it is about the treasure hunt.
And I think in the end, I also want to give props to Preston and Child and tell everybody out there, we don't get to talk about books every week. Dave reads like 5 every minute. I read like 5 every year. But when we try to give you guys insight and reviews and recommendations on what to read. And if you're not reading, God damn it, start reading. Okay?
Reading is fundamental.
Preston and Child, great pair of authors. Read any of their books.
Together or solo stuff is phenomenal.
Right.
I can't remember which one specifically offhand, but the Codex is phenomenal.
Yep. Terminal Freeze is another one.
Yes.
That's really good. Again, together or separate. We encourage people to read. We review as much as we can when it comes to books. Again, lazy society we live in. Movies, TV, streaming end up coming first. You got to read.
Work your mind.
You got to read.
Work your mind.
Got to read. All right. We have to acknowledge the season finale, season 3 of What We Do in the Shadows. The funniest show on TV right now. And we learn the fate of Colin Robinson. And once again, Laszlo is stuck with hero. 2, not 1, but 2 different people, different creatures, different entities that he has now got to take care of.
God, Laszlo's hosed himself big time, hasn't he?
Yeah. I told you a couple weeks ago, Laszlo has turned into my favorite character he puts on a big front, he talks about, sex this, masturbate this, spuge this,
Yes.
do this, acts like, all he cares about is self-gratification.
Yep, get
But
the
he's
horse and the
actually-
good time, boys.
He's actually got the most heart of any of the characters. Now he's got basically two different creatures / characters he's got to take care of.
Yes, one that came about in the
Going
finale right at the end,
Right.
and one going back a few episodes. We still
Where
have to have
Guillermo kind of screwed him on that
Guillermo.
one because he was on drunk blood.
Yes. So he had no idea what he was
They
getting
haven't
into.
followed up on that yet, but I'm sure
that's coming in season 4.
Yeah.
It has to be. They do such a good job following up with the little bits from previous seasons, so you know it's coming.
So the one life lesson I've learned, especially this week from what we do in the shadows, is I need to stock up on Oreos and Pedialyte.
And never leave home without your Depends. Wow, poor Guillermo.
I do not
Guillermo
want to,
is...
Yeah, I
wow.
really want to say something, but I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it yet, so I won't.
I feel for what happened to Guillermo and poor Nandor.
Yeah, Nandor's fate is a little bit more less defined than what we've seen from what's going to happen with Nadja and Guillermo and Laszlo and Colin.
Well, Guillermo got thrown for a frickin' loop.
Right. But he always does.
This is true.
Poor Guillermo gets screwed
Again.
6 ways to Sunday and twice on Tuesday.
Pretty much.
But again,
check it out.
Season
so
3,
worthwhile.
Season 3 was not disappointing at all.
No, it wasn't.
Now, the last couple of weeks we've been talking about the trials and tribulations of the Conquistador losing access to Tacoma FD.
And all is right in the universe again. The goof up has been corrected. I am now only 1 episode behind. I've caught up on 3 that I've missed out on in all their glory.
So now Dave understands last week when I was joking about Snackatron. I need some pretzels and some hot tea. Now, of course, he missed this week, which all I will say is all about Cologne and Quiet Party.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. All right. I will be caught up. We will be caught up for next week.
The great news is renewed for season 4. True TV has renewed Tacoma FD for season 4. So
Broken Lizard is phenomenal.
Slam and Salmon, Beer Fest,
Super Troopers,
Super Troopers 1 and 2. They are the best you're going to get right now, in my opinion, in terms of comedy.
Yep, outside of what we do in the shadows, this is right there as well.
Right. Okay, other TV and streaming news to wrap up the second segment. I feel like these are little selfish tidbits, but I'll bounce them off of Dave anyway. He knows I like Law and Order.
Gunk gunk.
They're bringing back the original. I know I mentioned last season I was watching the organized crime one.
Yeah.
Because they brought back Christopher Maloney.
Right.
I haven't watched it since. No. But now the revival of the original might pull me back in because they're bringing back Sam Waterston.
Are they as the DA?
Yeah. But new character. Our favorite from Burn Notice, Jeffrey Donovan, is going to be coming in as a regular on Law and Order.
Yes. Is he going to be one of the detectives, or?
I think he's going to be a lawyer because they're talking about bringing Anthony Anderson back in, and he was a detective.
Okay.
For a few seasons. Work. Yeah.
Love Donovan in anything he does.
Jeffrey
Good
Dahmer,
guy,
we
bad
just
guy.
recently saw him when we reviewed Let Him In
Yeah,
or Let Him Go.
or Let Him Go.
Let Him Go with Kevin Costner and Diane Lane. He was in that.
He's good in whatever he does.
Is a great actor.
He's been in one of the Fargo seasons.
Yes. Yep.
So
yeah, he is a phenomenal actor. And when I heard, that's why I wanted to bring this up, is because when I heard,
I'm intrigued there.
they won't specify his role yet, but I have a feeling he's going to be the lawyer at the back end. Of course, the first half, usually if they stick with the normal Law and Order format,
Right.
first half is the detectives, the police.
Getting it, going through the DA, and then the lawyer prosecutes it.
Right. So if they're going to bring Anthony Anderson back, I assume if they're going to go with two detectives, maybe it's Donovan and Anthony Anderson.
That could be intriguing.
Yeah.
So,
but otherwise, if they've already got Anthony Anderson in reprising his role as a detective, because I think he was in it with Jeremy Sisto, who's now doing one of those FBI things for CBS.
Yeah, one of the abysmal FBI things.
Yeah, it could go either. So it could go either way.
Yeah.
But I'm just glad to hear they're bringing in good quality actors for this.
So.
Okay, on the flip side of good quality acting, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is finally coming back.
Oh, sweet God, why?
Season 15 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia will launch on December the 1st on FXX. This will make it the longest running live action comedy in television history, beating Ozzie and Harriet.
Oh, sweet God almighty.
It's Always Sunny is hit and miss. There are episodes that are absolutely phenomenal, drop down, hysterical,
and others that are cringeworthy beyond belief.
Right. And I'll take it for what it is. I'm ecstatic it's finally coming back.
There you go. You were always into it more than I was.
Yep. I always found
Charlie Day is the best on that.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, I'm like, I could care less about the cast.
I think they all serve their purpose. They all serve their purpose.
But there you go.
At some point, you will realize what you've missed out on.
No, I won't.
All right, kids. We have got the much anticipated review. Netflix's Army of Thieves coming up in our final segment, so stay tuned. We will be right back.
Yes. Listen, you will, to Sports Frenzy 2.0, you must. Much to learn from the maestro and conquistador there is for entertainment every Saturday. On Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple, and everywhere are they found.
Hey kids, this is the Conquistador Dave Height.
Along with the maestro, Kevin Crane.
Welcome back to Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition, hitting on Saturday, November 6, 2021. We're recording on the 3rd of November. This is going to be our movie review, the much anticipated Netflix film, Army of Thieves, the prequel to Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead, we both loved. We saw it at different times, but we both loved it. Army of Thieves is the prequel, obviously.
Yep.
Dita's
or
Sebastian.
Your locksmith, your safecracker, the much-loved anti-hero.
I have a question. I have a question.
Lots, many, hundreds. Oh, God.
I was looking forward. I re-signed up for Netflix specifically for this movie.
And you got Squid Game as a bonus.
Yes. Of course, Squid Game bumped back Army of Thieves by a couple days, but last night I did end up watching Army of Thieves. And we're going to be on Netflix here for the next couple weeks. So.
Yeah, we've got some good stuff coming down the line.
Right.
So,
but Army of Thieves, the backstory of Dita, a.k.a. Sebastian.
Or, yes, his real name, Sebastian, last name unpronounceable. Wow.
I liked how they tied this into Army of Thieves tied into Army of the Dead. They make multiple allusions to the fact that as Dieter is overseas in Europe,
the zombie apocalypse is just beginning. You learn the history of the safe that he gets into in Army of the Dead. And this one leads in with the three built before this one by the Grand Master Wagner.
Yes.
And the history of it, oh my God. I love this movie, even as a standalone outside of Army of the Dead. This was a great action flick, a great heist movie overall.
You've got the typical double crosses, all the conventions you would expect from a good action movie.
Yeah, it was all there. The pacing was phenomenal. It flowed beautifully. You had the characters you loved, the characters you hated.
And can I mention the two women? I couldn't figure out which one I loved more.
I like the hacker.
I like the hacker a little bit more too. Oh my God, they're both beautiful. They're both phenomenal.
I like
gorgeous.
The hacker.
I loved them both. The hacker, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she had the nice little lips and I loved them both.
Yes, I know.
Yes. Yes, I took this movie more as a superficial, just ride along, enjoy it, have fun with it type movie.
Yeah, I was not disappointed with it. It actually, no. I didn't know what to expect, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yep.
It's one that I will watch again. I don't know if I would watch this repeatedly more than I would Army of the Dead.
I don't think I'd do that.
I would watch this another time or two. I don't know that I would watch Army of the Dead as often.
No, I like this, but I did not like it more than Army of the Dead. I did like Army of the Dead more. I'm hoping there's going to be more movies coming.
There's supposed to be a third finishing off the trilogy.
So I could see watching this trilogy over and over and over again.
The overall trilogy, yes.
I think maybe you're just a little tad bit higher on this than I am. I'm not saying I don't. I'm giving it 3 frenzies.
I'm going 3.5.
Yeah, I figured you were going a little higher on it. Again, 2 beautiful women, worth 2.5 hours of my life just to watch them. Dieter's awesome. Love Dieter.
There were some cheesy moments throughout. It's the Dieter character that brings it forth.
I think my problem might have been the team in Army of the Dead was better than this team because the two guys are just kind of assholes in this.
That I think is the whole point.
I know,
which is supposed to put Dieter to the frame of mind he is.
Right, but then you look back at Army of the Dead, all the characters in the team served a purpose. Whereas in Army of Thieves, yeah, those two serve a purpose, but they were very minor.
You're right.
Very minor.
Yeah.
Basically, it was about Dieter and the 2 women.
Yeah. And it was Dieter learning how to come to terms with his skills, his abilities, and gaining his confidence.
Right. And then, of course, you got the police involved here with the obsessive, and this is where it gets kind of generic. You've got the obsessive cop
looking
who's got to
revenge.
find the international criminals. He's been tailing them forever. He hasn't been able to catch them.
Shot in the ass.
Yep. Through his whiskey flask. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, you can talk about this in terms of music, TV shows, movies. If you take elements that we're familiar with and you put them in the right combination, they can still seem fresh, interesting, exciting. Like we were talking about Whitesnake in the first segment. That's what Whitesnake did with Restless Heart, is they put together their old elements, David Coverdale's voice, the whale, the blues, the generic, you broke my heart, bad woman, you put that all together and it still can sound fresh if you inject enough energy and life into it. And that's how I look at Army of Thieves. It takes all the conventions of action movies that we love, the hot women, the geek,
the underdog
hero, the bad villain, the cop trying to catch up with them to earn,
trying to get his redemption.
The cop always ends up being the bad guy, even though we shouldn't root against him. We're always rooting for the bad guy. We're rooting for Dieter, even though we shouldn't be.
It depends on how the policeman is portrayed.
And
there's some that are written where you're rooting for them as much as you are the villains.
Right.
And there are some of the police that are just so despicable that you hate them and want to see the villain succeed.
Right.
And I don't know, this guy came across kind of as a combination of the two.
Yeah, and again, this is why I'm only giving it 3, is because I didn't find him to be engaging at all.
No, he was just kind of a background character.
He came off as the generic cop trying to make the case that he's lost out on for years and years and time again.
Yeah.
So again, Dieter, the 2 women, awesome.
It tied.
Love them.
They did a beautiful job at the end bringing Army of Thieves into Army of the Dead.
Right.
And the melding of that was perfect.
Yeah. Yep. So 3 Frenzies, definitely will probably watch it again, especially if we get like a trilogy like you were talking about.
Yeah.
We get that going on.
Very well done.
Yep. Very well done. Did not disappoint. So next week, sticking with Netflix, we will review The Harder They Fall.
Yes.
Which just came out today as we tape.
Yeah, so that will be this weekend's watch.
Yep, the Western. Oh, I have love a good Western. I hope this does not disappoint. And then, of course, next weekend,
my youngest may watch this with me. He is a Western fan. I've got him hooked into it. I think he will be watching this one with me.
And then, of course, next time we will probably review, I think it comes out in time for our episode 2 weeks from now, will be Red Notice on Netflix with Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot and The Rock. Yay.
But it's Ryan Reynolds making fun of The Rock, I'm sure.
I hope. So like we said,
it's like looking in a mirror.
We're your source for the next couple weeks for Netflix. Everything new on Netflix, we're going to review.
Yep. And we'll see what else pops up that we might give you a hint or 2 on.
Yep. Boondock Saints. I don't know how you feel about this. I watched the first one. I thought it was a little bit overhyped and overrated.
I enjoyed the first one. I did not like the second one.
They're doing a third.
We'll have to see if Norman Reedus can redeem himself after that second abomination.
This is one of those series that I'm glad it succeeded. It's gotten cult status, and I'm happy for it because in terms of its content, I'm glad that it's out there and people are watching it, but I agree with you. They're not being done as well as they could be.
They are leaving a lot on the table. The first one could have been so much more, the second one just went off the rails. I think it was almost rushed, and it was just not well done at all. So we'll see if 3 can bring some redemption to the Boondock Saints.
Of course, we have controversy, manufactured, in my opinion, controversy with the new Disney movie Buzz Lightyear. People are saying that Tim Allen is not playing Buzz Lightyear or the voice of Buzz Lightyear because of his politics, and that Disney has fired him because of that and replaced him with Chris Evans. The thing is, this is a prequel. It's based on the person who inspired Buzz Lightyear. So Chris Evans is not technically playing Buzz Lightyear.
He's playing the role model,
right,
for Buzz Lightyear.
I think this is a situation where people are reading too much into things.
And this is Disney making another BS money grab off of a beloved character that's probably going to be a crap fest.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I don't have high hopes for it.
And I will admit, outside of acting, Chris Evans is a douchebag. So
yeah, pretty much. You get what you get there.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think there's any insidious plot here in terms of getting rid of Tim Allen because he's a conservative where Chris Evans is a liberal.
Would it surprise me with the rat? No.
But I don't think that's what's going on.
I don't think that's the main jibe to it.
Okay, Dave and I usually are copacetic on, we set up the movies we're going to watch for the following week. We set up the music we're going to listen to. I think now that the theaters are picking back up again, or we're going to start reviewing trailers. So for next week, the Morbius trailer just came out.
I was just talking with the boys about that today.
So I think
Morbius.
For next week, for our movie section, on top of reviewing The Harder They Fall, we will review the Morbius trailer that just came out. And of course, it's great. It's fantastic that movies are coming back to the theaters.
And I'm still pissed that they're only in theaters for like 2 or 3 weeks and you don't have enough time to try and get out to see something.
Yeah, hopefully.
Because we got effed on trying to see No Time to Die. We got hosed on that because we weren't able to get to see it within the first 2 weeks, and then it was gone from when we wanted to go.
Yeah, so hopefully, since Amazon has bought the MGM rights, so maybe it'll be on Prime soon. We'll see.
I'll hold my breath. Not.
Okay, to wrap things up, I have one dumbass, but of course, I mentioned earlier, I'm going to bring the Conquistador in on this because he is the master of the world of books. Maybe he has an opinion on this. Maybe he's going to look at me like
he has 3 heads.
Yeah. I am not a big fan of mergers. I do not like mergers. I do not like monopolies. I do not like in entertainment where you have
Simon and Schuster Penguin Random House merger. I was reading about this today, and I freaking hate monopolies. And if these 2 companies merged, over half of the publishing would be through these 2. And I hate it. I'm glad the Department of Justice is filing suit against them, stopping this merger. No good can come from it, despite what they say that they're going to allow them to still bid against each other for rights to books. No. No, no, no. You have got to stop this crap. Stop consolidating all into one. They need to be separate entities. Competition is good, and they've already delved into different emails and things that they've talked about how this merger would allow them to align with Amazon better. No good can come from that either. This is a detriment to consumers, to the authors, everything
And that's the
publishing
big thing I've heard.
related.
The
The
authors,
authors are going to get royally screwed on
that's
this.
the big thing I've heard.
And I can see prices going up for the consumers as well. It's not a good thing for these two to merge.
No.
It's horrible.
No. And we're not trying to get into the business world here, but we will when it comes to entertainment.
This is as bad as Disney buying up everything.
Right. Dave summed this up perfectly. Let's just put it succinctly and simply. Look at your life. Look at what you pay for right now. Comcast owns NBC, owns Universal. The Rat owns ESPN, owns Marvel, owns Star Wars. We keep letting these one or two or three companies buy up everything. When I was growing up, when I went to business school, I was told there was a certain chain of supply.
Right.
And it looks like in entertainment, books, music, movies, that thinking is gone away. The government has turned a blind eye to it.
They've let these companies merge so much that monopolies are very much on the verge
norm
of
right
taking
now.
over.
Right.
And if these two were to merge, they would have a monopoly on the publishing industry, and it would be very much detrimental to everybody involved.
I had not even realized Penguin and Random House had already merged.
Yeah.
Let alone now they're trying to bring in Simon and Schuster. And I know you guys are going, what are you guys talking? You have to realize there are very few large publishing houses left. And two of them merged, and now they're trying to bring a third in.
And you're going to have...
It'll be an absolute catastrophe for the publishing industry. And again, we want you guys to read goddamn books. That's why we talk about this.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing that they want to try and do.
All right, we got a couple of moments of silence here. Alluded to this in the first segment when we were talking about music. It's been a rough couple months here for Kiss. We talked about how they had to cancel their Vegas residency because of bad ticket sales. They also had one of their guitar technicians die from COVID a couple weeks ago, basically sequestered in a Detroit hotel room.
Ouch.
Which has led to 3 different anonymous workers on the tour saying that Kiss has been negligent. They have not been testing. They have not enforced masks among the workers. So I don't know if down the road this is going to end up leading to lawsuits. When I initially heard about the Vegas cancellation after this, I thought that's why they were canceling. I didn't realize it was because of bad sales. But Francis Stuber is the name of the tech.
Hate to hear that.
I hate to hear the conditions he died under.
Yeah.
Locked away. It sounds awful. And I don't know.
Are we getting the full story yet?
I don't know how I would react if I was Kiss. But it sounds so awful that you're just leaving a guy behind in a hotel room with COVID. Basically saying, we've got to keep touring, we've got to keep going, but we don't want you to spread the infection, so you've got to stay in this hotel. Whether they paid for anything and everything or not, Something
That's
about
still,
this,
there's something off.
it sounds cold. It really does.
It does.
But I don't know if there was a better way to handle it.
There probably could have been. I don't know. We'll have to wait for the full story instead of rumors and conjecture at this point.
Yep. Now, if any of you have been listening to us from the beginning, back at the early stages of 2021, when we were playing music here on the weekend edition, and we were only on Spotify and Anchor because of that, this would have been one of those situations where I would have forced a song down on Dave and said, we have to play this song for our music break because Ronnie Wilson of the Gap Band died.
Yep. Sad.
And I would be saying,
co-founder.
we need to play You Dropped the Bomb on Me.
Yes, we would have to have played that.
And this is one of those situations where I would get mad at my daughter, who calls me a music snob, who says, you don't listen to all types of music. You don't listen to rap and hip hop and pop and you know, you don't understand. Back in the early 80s, I did listen to the Gap Band. I listened to Parliament Funkadelic. We listened to that kind of stuff because back then it was all inclusive music.
Yeah.
We all listened to black, white, didn't matter who was singing, just mattered if the music was good.
If I like a song, I don't care who you are, I will listen to it.
Right. And the Gap Band was one of those. Probably they were on Soul Train. I would have watched Soul Train to see them.
Exactly, because not only did they have some good songs, they put on a hell of a show.
Right. So that's the first thing I thought of. Thoughts and prayers to Ronnie Wilson and his family. I want to play You Dropped the Bomb on Me. God damn if I don't want to play that right now. But of course, we would limit our audience, so we will not do that.
We will not go there. So
I have a dumbass. A general dumbass, not a specific dumbass to close out the show.
Just in general.
All right. You and I reviewed Halloween Kills. Did we not?
We did.
Did we not praise Big John and Little John?
We did praise Big John and Little John.
Did we not say we love them as characters? They were one of the best parts of the movie, one of the more positive parts of the movie.
Yes, we thoroughly enjoyed the characters, their interaction with each other, and the fact that it wasn't over the top.
Well, now people are coming out, they, quote unquote, they again, are coming out and saying, because Michael Myers killed them, he's homophobic.
Oh, for the love of God! Michael Myers killed everybody in that movie, you assholes!
So now it's getting to the point where we're going to get...
God almighty!
I'm telling you...
It's a fucking horror movie. People die. Everybody died in this, damn near, except for your main characters. It's a fact of horror films. Get over your queer selves.
This is where we're going, though.
I'm done with this shit.
I'm guaranteeing you.
I am done with this bullshit.
You are not going to be able to kill minorities or homosexuals anymore.
I'm done with it all.
Movies.
I'm done with this. Done with it.
We have gone so far the other way now, where we're going to dictate who Michael Myers can kill and who he can't kill in a horror movie.
Done.
So basically, only middle-aged white guys will be able to be killed from now on in horror movies, because that's the only acceptable group to go ahead and slaughter. But that's not racist. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not perverse. That's not weird. That's not stupid. That's not illogical. That's the way our current society thinks. So, I hope I speak for the Conquistador.
That's heterosexual phobic, by the way.
I just want to say, as we close out the weekend edition,
that's heterophobia coming out.
based on this dumbass
The
Halloween
collective
Kills.
they bullshit.
Yeah, I would like to give a roundabout 360 fuck you to everybody who thinks that because Michael Myers killed a couple gay guys on top of a bunch of women, black people, white people, heterosexual people in a movie, in a fucking movie, that somehow is a cause for concern. Roundabout 360, fuck you, fuck your mother, fuck your sister, and fuck everybody who thinks like you. Because we're tired of this shit. We're done with it. That's why we're still here doing this podcast, is to tell you, you fuck yourself. You have the intelligence of a fucking gnat on fucking retarded genes. I'm done with you people.
Wow, you went nuclear on this one.
I told you I was going to. I told you it was coming at some point.
I thought you would have gone the
Do
more...
you disagree?
I don't disagree, but I might have put it a more intelligent, eloquent way.
I would like to say, as I close out the weekend edition,
The hell with you all.
I would like to say, fuck your equine mother. Fuck your bastard father. Fuck your whore of a sister. It's the same either way, Dave.
You're a bunch of morons.
We are not
Get over
politically correct.
yourselves.
You get what you get when you pull this shit on us. And you'll get it each and every week, whether you listen to the regular edition where we talk about sports or the weekend edition where we talk about music, TV, and movies. You're going to get it either way.
Yep. Just stop the crap.
Screw cancel culture. You don't have the right to tell us what we can listen to, what we can't listen to, what we can watch, what we can't watch. That's not your
And
right.
you can't tell us how to think, feel, or act.
Go back to sleep in your mommy's basement. Leave the rest of us adults alone to live our lives and work and make society better while you just try to ruin it. I'm done. Are you done?
I'm done. We'll talk to you next week, kids.